Now, we are excited to begin our first session where we'll hear real stories from two international researchers who have built their careers successfully here in Korea. So first, let's invite Dr. Paul Salvazit from KERI to begin the presentation. Dr. Salvazit, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Sarvajit Paul from Electric Mobility Research Division of Korea Electrotechnology Research Institute. As the mode of presentation for today's seminar is in English for the first half, so I will carry on with the English presentation. So if anybody wants to talk in Korean, I can even reply in Korean to any queries. So I come from Korea Electrotechnology Research Institute, which is a non-profit government-funded institute under the Ministry of Science and ICT. We have different campuses, with the main campus located at Changwon in the southern part of the country. And we also have other campuses at nearby Seoul and in Gwangju. So if you need any information about KERI, I can provide you more information about the research facilities within the limit of the secrecies and all. So maybe we can have discussion. And I would love to have a fruitful discussion with the participants. So feel free to put on questions and I will reply to you. So for today's presentation, I thought about how about sharing about who am I, where did I study, and where did I work, and what kind of work I do as a researcher. And also I thought about how about I talk with you guys about the life of a foreign student, because I was a student in Korea. I came in 2013, and since then I stayed here, I studied, and now I'm working. So how I lived my life and how I joined KERI and what I'm doing at present. So I will try to give an overview on that. So I come from the country called India, and I belong to a city in the eastern part of India called Kolkata. So it also has a name of called City of Culture. So the different cultural organization and all kind of freedom fighters and the India's Nobel laureates, they all come from this city. And this city used to be the old capital of the country, but now the capital has moved to New Delhi. So I come from Kolkata and I finished my undergraduate in India, and then I moved to Korea for my higher studies. So if I talk a brief about my studies, so until my undergrad, I was in India, did my undergraduate in electrical engineering. Then I got Korean government scholarship, 정부조청 외국인 장학 program. And under that scholarship, I studied my master's degree in Korea. And then I also moved for my PhD. And during my PhD, I took a different route, that I did a half of my PhD in Korea and other half I did in Australia under the Australian government's Endeavour Research Fellowship. And after finishing my PhD, I moved to KERI for postdoc and did around 1.5 years of postdoctoral studies. And during that time, as many of you would be wondering about the job opportunities, what happens after finishing your studies, what to do, should I keep on being in academia? That was the thing that was also going on inside my head. I applied for different opportunities and I ended up getting a job as a senior scientist in ABB, which is a company made by Swedish and Swiss organizations. And I was working at the Corporate Research Center of ABB in Germany for Mechanism and Actuator Division. Then staying there for around 1.5 years, I found an opportunity in KERI again as a permanent full-time employee for senior scientist position. And I applied the job and I got it. And I came to Korea again since 2024. And I'm still here doing my research with KERI. So a brief overview about my research would be including, I work mostly on electric mobility field. Main focus would be electric machine designs and propulsion systems for electric vehicle, transportation for railways, and then ship propulsions And also some part of my research are also included with industrial application, be it industrial robotics. And at present, the projects that I'm doing mostly, I have made a few overview on that includes some of the national projects related to high-speed train and propulsion system for electric vehicle. In my PhD, mostly I did work on industrial robotics. I worked on designing the actuator system for industrial robotics. So because when you see in Korea, the parts or the electrical parts, be it the robot actuators, the sensors, they are mostly imported from outside. So the idea of the project was, how about we reduce the dependency from outside import and we do some indigenous modeling of the system. So that was the goal, and I worked on designing the figure at the top showing the gantry system, the actuator for it. And that's how I got my PhD. And we also did a commercialization of this product with some medium-scale company. At KERI, when I joined, I was given a task to create the thermal network modeling and system-level modeling of high-speed railway traction system. I did my postdoc that time for around 1.5 years, and during that time, this work was a huge task, including different consortium members. So it gave me an opportunity to explore the research options and how the academia and industry works together. With this, when I moved to Germany, that was a different field, because the research scope, the way people work there were totally different. But having a postdoctoral position at KERI was a fruitful opportunity, because already I was knowing that when I'm working in a team or I'm working in a consortium, how the conflict can happen, how the team members collaborate together. If there is a problem happening, how to solve the problem in a team. So when I moved to ABB, that was a really helpful opportunity for me to utilize the learnings that I got at KERI. So in ABB, I worked as a project manager for 2 different projects. I put a brief overview of those 2 projects here. Those were related to the electrical industry, because ABB is a global company that deals with electrical equipment manufacturing for all over the world. So I cannot disclose more, but it was related to some kind of actuation system design for some electric appliances. And now at KERI, as I said previously, I'm working for different types of propulsion system for electrified vehicles, be it the land vehicle, be it the flying cars, or be it the electrified ships. And we have different types of projects that we do. And in KERI, in our division, the division is called Electric Mobility Research Division, and it is divided into 4 different 2 centers and 2 teams. The blue ones here, the Electric Machine and Drive Research Center and the Electric Propulsion System Research Center, are the 2 big centers with 2 focus teams that helps to operate for the need of the present situation, be it like the hydrogen electric research or be it the aerial mobility. So we have 2 focus teams of hydrogen electric research team and air mobility research. I belong to Electric Machine and Drive Research Center, and we work on, if there is anybody here who studies electrical engineering or electronics, you would be knowing that we, in electric machine and drives, we usually study like motors, generators, inverters, and associated systems, the control logics, sensors for those applications. And this is just the research outcomes. I will skip this part. And now comes the main part, which I wish to talk with you guys about life as a foreign student first, then how I transitioned from the student to the researcher and now a permanent employee. When I was preparing the presentation slides, I asked ChatGPT to help me. Can it give me some of the keywords a student or a foreign student can face when they are attending graduate school or life in a foreign country? So to my surprise, it put the words that I also felt personally were the things that were difficult, or I would say challenging for me during my stay as a student. Obviously, when you are studying, the research is the big part of your study. You have to produce research outcomes. You have to coordinate with your supervisor. You have to coordinate with your lab mates. And when you are doing research, and at the same time, you are in a foreign country. So what happens is like the work-life balance could be hampered. And at the same time, also it can happen that I came to this country and I don't know the culture, I don't know the work style, and I don't know the surroundings or the bureaucracies. So that can create some issues with life. So that's why life was also a highlighted part. And if such problems happen, it gives stress in your life. So stress was also a big highlight. And if your life has issues and if you find it stressful to survive, so you need support from people. So also support was one of the terms that I found. And with support and with proper learning, you can strengthen your shortcomings. And that shortcomings, when you keep on strengthening that, it can help you find out your directions. So you need to assess yourself. So self-assessment, finding out your weaknesses, support from your faculty, friends. All this combines the life of a foreign student, be it in the graduate school or be it in the undergraduate. So I was, in my surprise, even ChatGPT was thinking the similar way. So I put this figure with the help of ChatGPT. So if such a case, so I again asked ChatGPT, can you give me an overview by creating some pie charts about the life of a foreign student in some important wording, such as the study part or socializing or finding part-time job during the study. Then obviously you need to sleep when you are working, or you need to go out with your friends, do some recreation or travel around, go home. So what you think, I asked ChatGPT, about the around average percentage a foreign student would need to do when they live in a foreign country. To my surprise again, it was giving a kind of similar results what I expected. Obviously, when we are studying in a graduate school, most of the time we stay, at least in the STEM field, we stay in our laboratories. So we are studying. So if we are studying for an example here, it's saying the 40%, that means socializing, finding part-time jobs, and even taking rest becomes lower, right? So here it is giving 15% for the socializing, and part-time job opportunities shrinks more further. And recreation and traveling would be like at God's grace. So if that is the case, the next question that I asked was, what could be the hardship that a foreign student faces? Obviously, the cultural adjustment would be one of the big problems. And in addition to the academic challenges, when you are coming to a foreign country as a student, obviously the academic challenges are there, which you can overcome by taking help from your supervisors or your universities for international school departments and your friends. But what happens to other factors, like adjusting to the new culture, or by adjusting to the social or the emotional issues that you face on your day-to-day life? And at the same time, you also need to think about your stipends, your university fees, your living expenses. That means the financial strains. And also in terms of the visa processing, that comes the logistic and the legal issues. And at the end, also some students or some in our day-to-day life, we can find some kind of a bias or discrimination in different fields, which is universal all around the world. So to my surprise, again, ChatGPT was quite logical, giving me the pie chart of different factors that a foreign student can find hard when he or she is living in a foreign country. So obviously, when we have found the hardship, so the next question would be automatically to ask, what would be the ways or the means to overcome that? So the first thing was, obviously, you need to adjust to the culture. In English, we say, like, when you are in Rome, do as Romans do. So if I say I'm in Korea, I need to understand the culture. I need to respect the culture, and I need to find the goods. I need to find the lackings. I need to understand what is different from where I come from into this culture, and how to assimilate or how to understand. Sometimes it can happen like I may not understand some factors, but at least I should show the respect, which I don't understand. So the cultural adjustment or support from your academic support programs, or talking with your friends, like networking with the native or the foreign students, or having some plannings. You can take help from your university international school. They have this kind of supports. And also have an open mind of inclusion and awareness. In all these overcoming issues, if we see, it circles around the adjustment in different domains, be it cultural, be it academic, be it the financial, be it in terms of racial justice. So the main factor that can create problems in overcoming them would be, it's solely my view, that we need to understand the language first. When we come from a different country and we speak a different tongue to a foreign country which does not use English as the official language, if I don't understand that language, if I don't speak in that language, or if I cannot express my feeling in that language, that can obviously create some confusion or some misunderstanding, or maybe I cannot exactly express what I wish to say, and that ultimately does not convey the message that I wish to provide to the other person. So again, when I asked ChatGPT, it found the same similar concept that what was going in my mind, that the language course or exchange of language would be the most important part a foreign student should think about, because this language thing not only helps you to survive, it helps you to open up future opportunities in terms of more academic opportunities, more work-related opportunities, or finding friends, finding maybe your life partners. There will be lots of opportunities that opens up as soon as you start learning the language or start speaking in that language. And here I put a quote from Murakami, because I really like reading Murakami's books. So it says, exerting yourself to the fullest within your individual limits. That's the essence of running, or a metaphor for life. So sometimes what happens that when we, as a foreign student or foreign researcher, stays in a foreign country, sometimes we feel let down, sometimes we feel low, but that does not mean that we haven't done our 100%. Sometimes it happens that we did a lot, and the outcome may not have come instantly, but it adds up every day to your work. And the outcome may come after 3 months, or maybe after 1 year. You never know. And frankly speaking, when I started learning the language, I speak Korean, and I even have a topic level of around five or six, I forgot. So during that time, I also thought that, do I really need to learn the language? Because in my field, when I'm studying in my graduate school, everything would be in English, because if I write a research paper, the research paper would also be in English. So do I really need to learn the language? But when I look back and see my life now, I feel that I have made a very right decision that I learned the language, because it helped me to at least find network in my research communities. It helped me to open up my research work, because I can write my research in the native language. I can present it in national conferences. And then when people see that, oh, this person can speak my language, so it opens up at least the conversation. As soon as the conversation happens, we keep on creating networks. And these networks help me even to find a job in KERI. Because if I would not have talked in Korean, or if I would not have communicated my feelings or my research or my presentations in Korean, maybe I would not have ended up getting the job in KERI. So the next thing is like, okay, I have studied the language, I have did my research, I have got my degree. So what happens next? What should I do? I got the job, or should I continue learning? Should I go for a postdoc, or should I stay in academia, become a professor, or should I go to industry, or maybe going to a government agencies or non-profit like us, or maybe I can open up my own company. So what happens next? It is always a gray zone, and as soon as you graduate from your school, it brings you to the real life, I would say, where like you have lots of challenges. You have to face the real world, and this end up giving you or maybe let you ask questions to yourself about your own capabilities, about the ways that you are doing the work, or am I doing it in right way, or what could be the ways I should do it? Can I get a recommendation from somebody who can help me to find an opportunity somewhere else after I graduate? There will be lots of questions that can happen as soon as you graduate. So I thought, how about I talk a little bit about the interview processes that we are having here in Korea or maybe abroad, because I got a job in Germany and then I came back to Korea again. So I found it is very interesting that the way people conduct interviews is totally different. For an example, if I talk about the Korean example, this is the order that they usually follow. And another thing we need to think about, it is a really recent thing that has happened, that is the inclusion of AI in our life. As the AI is too predominant in our life, nowadays preparing documents and submitting the application form becomes very easy, because you write a rough application, then AI can help you to make it more technically sound or linguistically sound, right? So there, previously when the first case, like when you prepare the documents and submit it for the scrutiny, usually the HR department will read those essays and then they will evaluate it based on your potentials or the way you have expressed yourself, the way you have shown your you as a researcher, or the way you have shown you as a person, blah, blah, blah. But now AI can help you in instance to create a very similar kind of application package. So how the HR department will distinguish between 2 or 3 credible candidates who have similar kind of maybe ACEs. So this was something that maybe we need to think about. In the next slide, I will give you a very good example on how the German industry is taking care of that. For the time being, for the Korean example, we still have the traditional ways that you prepare the document, you then submit it to the application site. Every institute and organization have their own application processes. So you have to follow that, prepare the documents and submit it. Once you submit it, there would be technical presentations and the aptitude test or personality test. So that can happen like 2 and 3 can happen simultaneously, or maybe 3 can happen before 2, and based during your technical presentation, people or the HR department may ask you about, for an example, in my case, they asked, oh, okay, your personality shows that you are extrovert. So what do you think that your extrovertness would help a research institute? This kind of question they can ask because they can see how the trend goes. And during the technical presentation, in case of my case, it was around around 20 to 30 minutes. And after the technical presentation, they do the final overviews and mark the candidates. And then you go up for the final presentation. And the final presentation was quite huge. And once in the final presentation, you finish your presentation, then you have to wait for the final results. Usually it is among 2 or 3 candidates because usually in research institute, in my case, they only select 1 or 2 candidates for the final positions. So the number of positions or the openings are very few. And once you get the final call, then you need to do the health checkup. And if you don't have any kind of problems in terms of your health, then you get the employment certificate. But what happens then for the European example, like basically for the German example, when I was applying for the AVB, the documents are okay. They are similar. You need to submit the documents. Then you need to do the technical interviews. But there was an interesting thing happening after that. You need to do some kind of workshop. In the workshop, the people there, the interviewers, they gave me this left-hand side drawing. They draw it on the board. They said, okay, it's very basic. If you see, it's usually we study in our physics that you have a mass, you have a spring, and the mass is connected to the spring and to a wall. Now you need to move the mass from position 0 to position X. How would you do that? Somebody can say, okay, with my hand I can do that. I can push it. But no, they said, you applied for the job for a electric machine designer. So how electric machine can help us to do that? They are keep on asking me questions, and I am keep on replying. And every time I reply, the whiteboard keeps on filling up. What they are saying is, during that workshop, you as a team member or you as a researcher, how you can create or how much you have the basic knowledge about the topics. It ended up going into the design process. The whiteboard was full with writings and full with equations. So they are checking your basic knowledge about science. Once this thing, AI cannot help you. And you never know that in workshop, what kind of questions the interviewer will ask you. Then what happens is like they take you to a lab and then they keep on asking you questions. They will show you something, a test bed, and then they will say, what do you think about this test bed? Have you ever had any experiences about working on this kind of test bed? Do you think if there is any lackings that you can find in this test bed? So they are now checking your practical knowledge. Once you end up doing that, then they will call you for an open house presentation, which is attended by everybody from the institute. You become the presenter. People sit there, people listen, and people from all different types of fields come there. So you have to give a presentation which would be understandable by everybody. So if I compare now my experience with the Korean side and to the European side, I feel like even if we are rapidly changing the AI landscape and it affects somehow the interview process, this kind of practical knowledge-oriented examples may still be very useful when finding the right candidates for the right job. I thought maybe some of you may be having dreamed to go to European countries for work, or maybe stay back in Korea. So maybe a little bit about the interview processes could be helpful to understand how things work. Then I try to put what could be the options that we have when we finish our studies. At the undergraduate levels, we think about doing some industrial and research internships, right? Usually at our KERI, we also support students to do short-term internship during their undergraduate courses. In the master cases, we have a university called UST, where you can do master's and PhD courses, and then maybe go for industrial jobs. And after you finish your master's at our KERI, we give opportunities for people who want to do a little bit more research. That is called the postmaster work, where you join the institute as a part-time employee. Or you can go for a PhD or industrial jobs. And in the doctoral case, also KERI has options to do postdoc with different researchers here in KERI in different fields. And other things like industrial jobs and academic position, that is all we know. So what I wanted to say is like within the research institute in Korea, be it KERI or other research institute, we have lots of opportunities in terms of internship, postmasters, postdocs. So maybe you guys need to find out these options, which we publish time to time in our HR portal. So if you see them, but keep in mind, sometimes maybe the opening or the advertisement would be in Korean. So again, the language plays an important role to find the perfect opportunities or the jobs that are already been there in the website. And in terms of the job searches, because previous part was like doing internship, postdoc, or postmasters, but about the jobs within the country. In Korea, if you want to find a job, how can you do that? Obviously, the international office or your supervisor, if you're in a graduate school, your supervisor can support you to find a job. Or doing networking, like if you're a graduate student, you can join different communities, or you can go for conferences where you can communicate with people, and sometimes they even conduct job fairs. So there you can also find information about the openings that are there. Sometimes the openings are solely for foreigners, or sometimes it's just an open call, anybody can apply. And obviously the online sites, there also I took the help from ChatGPT, like Job Korea, Saramin, or in Recruit. You have lots of portals that also publishes jobs or the company profiles. So you guys can check the company profiles before applying for the job or finding the perfect opportunities for yourself. And obviously, every institute or every companies, if you have a dream company, they will have an HR and employment ad portal. So you go inside there, find it out, apply for the perfect job. It is always there in the web. Yeah, I'm about to finish my presentation. So this one comes like, I thought maybe we are talking about STEMs. So if we are talking about STEM, maybe we should also think about the outlook or the ways people do research. This is also a comparison that I tried to picturize. The comparison that I found was by working in different countries. From Korea, I moved to Australia, then I came back to Korea again, then I went to Germany and again back to Korea. I found every country, the way they do the research is different. In broader picture, the research methods can be divided into, it's a very crude presentation of the methods, but it can be broadly divided into two parts. One is you have the target or the application, you do some pre-studies, you do some benchmarking. That means you are doing trial and error. Then you create a big database, and then you do the decision making. That's a very traditional way of doing research. But what happens if I don't know anything about my target? For the first time, I'm dealing with it. So in that case, maybe method B would be more appropriate, because first you need to understand the basic needs. Then you need to do some brainstorming with a team, do some workshops, do some seminars, run some simulations. Then maybe you can find out solution A, B, C, D. And then you can combine even like solution A part 1, solution B part 2, solution C something. And it has a technical name called morphological chart. And with that morphological chart, you can create lots of decisions. And that decision can even end up becoming some patents, becoming some very good IPs that may change the world and may get a Nobel Prize in future. Frankly speaking, when I was in ABB, they follow method B rather than method A. In KERI, we follow both the methods. It depends on what kind of projects we are doing. So yeah, that ends off the presentation slides that I made. But now I think the floor would be open for discussions. So please ask as much as you guys want. I would be happy to reply all your queries.